What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's good to see you all again. As always, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. This is just for entertainment purposes only, so let's be entertained. I was looking a little bit at Redbox. I was looking back at the charts. I kind of wanted to try to see if I could find any kind of patterns or anything that we've seen before and how it played out and where we are today and possibly what could play out. So I brought back our friend the Bollinger Bands that we've talked about before. Most of you guys are in this play for a little bit longer periods of time, so we're going to use it on a longer time frame. We're going to look at Ortex, kind of see where that data is telling us, and the FTDs, how long can this play out. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, go ahead and hit the like button for me and I will get into the information. So I'm bringing us all the way back to mid-March, basically, when there was a run up here in March 18th where it just got that rocket up a little bit, and then we saw this long down channel. So it looks familiar because we've seen that long down channel for the past couple weeks or whatever. This one here lasted a couple of weeks over these trading days. This is on the 4-hour chart. But what I'm looking at is with the Bollinger Bands, whenever it was in that down channel, we can see that it's riding low on the lower end of the Bollinger Band, just kind of trending its way down. And it just continued to trend its way down, beating its head off of the midline, could not get the strength that it needed to get up and over that midline, and it continued all the way down till it kind of hit a little bit of a plateau. We seen it get that relief finally, the relief that came in that it needed to be able to make that move back to the positive side. So from that relief, it kind of gave a little bit of a curl back up, and it gets that pop. So it did take a little bit of time. It consolidated for a couple of more days before it really made that run. But it got squeezed tight enough that it was ready to choose its direction. It was tired of being pinched in between that channel, picked its direction, and we see that it was just above the midline at that point. So it gave it that strength that it needed to get the move to the positive side. So I bring it over to what we've been going through, where we are today. We can see that we went into that down channel and we did something very similar. We traded to the lower side of the Bollinger Band on the 4-hour chart. It bounced its head off of that midline several times, but just kept getting rejected back down to the lower side of the Bollinger Band. Couldn't get the strength that it needed to really get that move up, and then we saw it finally, it made a couple of attempts, but we saw it finally plateau and get the strength that it needed to get a little bit of a relief to be able to push it back up to the upside. From that relief, it started to make its curl. Now we can see that it's pinching in because that upper's coming down on it while we're curling back up. So we're getting tighter, and we're getting to a point where it's probably going to be making a decision as to if it wants to make that move up or if it wants to make that move down. I would say we are a longer time frame, so I mean it could be couple 2-3 days possibly. We'll just have to see how much it moves. If it's tired of consolidating, because we have been here for 2.5 days, I think, just consolidating in this channel, which is okay. And we're sitting right there at the midline right now. So I really want to see it hold that strength to be able to stay above the midline. It doesn't guarantee that it's going to have to move up or that it is going to move up, but it definitely increases its odds because that's one less point of resistance that it has to break through when it's trying to make its decision. Now, I wanted to pull up Ortex and just take a quick peek at what we got going on there. I'll bring us back to that March area. So mid-March, you can kind of see where my cursor is. You're not going to be able to see any of these numbers, but the estimated short interest percent of the free float there by Ortex was 40, and the free float on loan was 58. So we could see why there was a lot of selling pressure there. There was a lot of shorts at that time that was really piling in and driving it down. But then it made that pop whenever they decided they've spent all the money they wanted to spend trying to drive it down, and now they wanted to collect on that, see it run back up. Now today we're sitting considerably higher. I mean 100% higher basically. Ortex is estimating short interest percent of the free float at 155.9 right now. Percent of the free float on loan 91.18. Shares on loan 3.59 million. Cost to borrow 602. Utilization still at 100%. So there is plenty of shares out there that are wanting to play this to the downside. That's been, forcing that into the down channel. So obviously right now it's starting to compress. We know we based our theory off of $6 range, basically, is where we are saying every dollar that we go up from here kind of takes about 10 days of holding time off of the shorts. It's going to start eating into their profit. And so far it's held that $6 line pretty well. We want to see it start pushing to the upside to eat into those profits a little bit more so that it'll actually take effect and maybe entice them to cover. They don't want to see their profits go away either. They could be just as stubborn and convicted in their play as you guys are in your play. So we don't know exactly what's going to happen. We just kind of have to watch for some indicators and see what happens from there. But it does look like, as far as the Bollinger Bands are going, they are getting compressed and they're going to make their decision one way or the other. I want to see us hold above that midline. I want to hopefully think that maybe some of the shorts would like to get out. Maybe the day traders will jump in there at the same time, and we'll see a little bit of buying pressure that's going to push this to the positive side. It's sitting a little close for comfort. It doesn't have to be above or below this line to tell you which way it's going to go, but like I said before, it's one less point of resistance that it has to worry about as it's pinching. But I do like that it has made that plateau, and we can see that it's starting to make its trend back up. So let's hope that it pushes in, and just gets us that little push to the upside, gets us into the next channel. I would love to see it. It could pop. We could see, quite a rise and then pull back. So if it wants to pull back like it did previously, and say it wants to consolidate in a higher channel, $7 to $8 maybe, for a couple of days, that's very possible. And then we're watching again to see if it's going to get a second explosion off of that. So we have to just keep an eye on what's going on here. As always, we know it's a risky play, so we do want to watch it closely. Nobody wants to see anything go to zero by any means, not in a risky play. But we're watching, we're waiting. Things look like they could be finally going back in the Bulls' favor. I mean, it's been holding strong. Is there enough momentum there to really just continue to hold on strong and push this back into the positive direction? I think we're going to know, and I think we're going to know within the very near future. Probably Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. By that point, I think this is going to be tight enough if it hasn't already chosen its direction. I would say by midweek we should be able to see a direction that it's going to go. I can't imagine that it's going to continue to consolidate in this level because it's not advantageous for either side, and I don't think people want to just keep continuing to try to fight in both directions. Somebody's going to either dump on it or somebody's going to push it, and we're going to see who wins. So thank you guys so much for coming back, giving me time out of your weekend. I appreciate you coming back and hanging out with me and just listening to what I'm looking at, and maybe some of my theories that are just completely that theories, but I like what I'm seeing. I like the patterns. So let's see what happens. Thank you guys so much for coming back and watching another one. If you don't mind, drop a like. You're welcome to leave a comment, or you can subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the updates. As always, stay golden, people, and may your accounts stay green.